Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Shin Kim. I'm teaching Western civilization. This is actually fourth class. Today very shortly I'm gonna dealing with the Hebrew civilization, and after that the rise of Christianity in Western Europe. So just now actually I'm teaching another course called the History of Israel. So if you any student to listen to another class, History of Israel, you may understand this one. And Hebrew civilization actually related to the modern Israel, and in old another actually vocabulary called Hebrew. Actually, through the first class, I'm already explained about Mesopotamia, Mesopotamian civilization located in modern country called Iran and Iraq, maybe Kuwait, the Syria, that area. So BC 3000 years, BC 3000 at the time, Mesopotamian civilization was extremely strong in that area, and also compared to Mesopotamia civilization, also Egyptian civilization was another old ancient strong civilization, some kind of a kingdom. So unfortunately, Canaan, maybe in modern country called Palestine and Israel, actually located between two big kingdom called Mesopotamian civilization and the Egyptian civilization. What does it mean? Unfortunately, yeah, Canaan, this area, Israel area, was surrounded by very strong kingdom, and through the whole history, actually, they invaded this Canaan area so many times. That's why Canaan, the area of Canaan was, even though there was the nation was Israel was born in this area, but unfortunately, this area, the Hebrew actually civilization was disappeared for over 2,000 years. We may understand why. And the Hebrew civilization actually start BC 1800. Abraham at that time lived in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, the village, the city name is called Uru. He lived in. Abraham actually was the person of Eastern Asia. Actually, Arab, maybe Arab race. So anyway, one day God called Abraham, and Abraham left Uru, and Abraham actually become some kind of the father over Israel. So BC 1800 through 1200, that area called Age of Patriarchy, and just remember Abraham. Abraham is extremely important figure when we deal with the Hebrew civilization, and his son Isaac and Jacob. So whenever actually we deal with the Hebrew civilization, we mentioned three actually patriarchal name: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And during the area of Jacob, actually there was a severe famine. There was no food, but at that time, the son of Jacob, called Joseph, actually he lived in Egypt, and Egypt has a lot of food. As a result, the family of Jacob actually moved to Egypt. They lived in the Egypt of almost over 400 years. Israel people live in Egypt over 400 years. But unfortunately, they become a slave in Egypt, and God listened to their crying, and finally let them have freedom. Finally, by the leadership of Moses, actually Israel people exodus. Exodus means escape from Egypt. Finally, they become a free man, and they actually back to their area, Canaan, and they're starting of age of judge. Judge means they are not king, but actually play as a king, but they actually not a king. Little limited power over the Israel people. One of the famous judge name is Samson, and after that, the Israel people actually asking God, give us king, give us king. Finally, God chose one person called Saul, and Saul actually was the first king of Israel, and the second king called King David. So through that era, actually, Israel was become one united kingdom, and you should remember the King David. So whenever we deal with the history of Hebrew civilization, Abraham, Moses, David, these three figures are always written in Old Testament. You should remember their names. And the son of King David is actually Solomon, and after the death of Solomon, unfortunately, the Israel kingdom divided two. North area, south area. North area called Israel, south area called Judah. And Mesopotamian area at that time, there was Assyrian Empire, and the Assyrian Empire actually invaded Israel, and they destroyed it. And the north part of Israel was disappeared. And again, after Assyrian Empire, new actually empire called Babylonian Empire, still rooted in Mesopotamian civilization. So even in modern day, looks like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq, and Kuwait, that area, actually originally they has a strong and very old ancient great civilization. But from the present perspective, they actually lost their power, unfortunately. But even when we deal with Hebrew civilization, we understand how powerful Mesopotamian civilization it is. So that's why Assyrian Empire actually invaded Israel and rule over it. And after Assyrian Empire, actually Babylonian Empire was arose, and they finally conquered the southern area of Israel, Judah, and the fall of Jerusalem. So after that, actually, I'm little bit explain about Mesopotamian and Egyptian, after that Greek civilization, and after that through the third class I'm dealing with the Roman civilization. Finally, the Roman Empire was born, and that actually empire was extremely strong, and finally Roman Empire become the owner of Canaan area, Israel area. They become the owner in that area. So the reason why before dealing with the rise of Christianity, I'm dealing with the Hebrew and the Roman civilization, because Christianity actually was born in Roman civilization. That's why. So rise of Christianity. Even Christianity actually has a very important role in Western Europe and Eastern Europe. So BC 63, Romans conquered Judea, and they actually occupied the Canaan area, and they become the owner. And Jesus actually was born AD 0. So look at the actually picture, BC and AD. Maybe many of you already know about historical term BC and AD. That's why the Jesus Christ or Christianity has contributed to great role, great fact, great influence even on modern time, because he Jesus Christ, actually, the birth of Jesus Christ decide BC and AD. So BC means before Christ, and AD means Anno Domini. Anno means year, Domini means Lord. So AD means the year of the Lord. Who is the Lord? Jesus Christ is the Lord. So the birth of Jesus Christ actually mark BC and AD. Still we using this actually historical term. Now we are living in AD 2022. So Jesus was born in 0, and when Jesus Christ reached to 30 years old, actually he started his public life for 3 years, and he actually called 12 disciples, and based on the Jewish civilization, exactly Judaism, based on the Judaism, Jesus Christ actually established the religion called Christianity. So teaching of Jesus Christ developed into new religion. I don't want to explain what is the teaching of Jesus Christ. Maybe through other lesson you may know about what is his teaching it is. So his Jesus Christ played one of the biggest actually contribution in develop of the human history, even not only limited to religion, also that actually his influence factor on a lot on Eastern, especially Western civilization. And Paul actually, after Jesus Christ, Jesus died on the cross, and he ascended into heaven, and several years later, the guy called Paul of Tarsus actually he hated Christianity. So he actually tried to capture, arrest Christian people and Christians, and actually kill them. He hates them. He persecutes Christians. But one day, actually, he was going to the city Damascus because he heard that some Christians living in Damascus, and he wanna arrest them and he wanna kill them. And during going that way, suddenly Paul, he heard one voice from heaven, and he fell on from the horse, and he fell to the ground, and he heard one voice, Saul. At the time his name was Saul. Saul, Saul. And this actually guy asked a question to that voice, who are you? And at the time from the heaven, I am Jesus whom you persecute. So through that experience, actually Saul actually become a Christian. He actually conversion from Judaism to Christianity, and he become 13 disciple of Jesus Christ. So Paul believed God called him to convert Gentiles. So after through that strong experience, actually he started preaching the gospel around Europe. He made a lot of trips. He visited so many countries and delivered the message of Jesus Christ. He made Christianity broader religion because of his effort. Actually, the religion called Christianity actually spread throughout Roman Empire, and he established the church throughout the Eastern Mediterranean Sea area, total actually southern Western Europe area. New religion called Christianity developed within Roman Empire and gradually spread throughout the Roman world. And at the time, Roman Empire has excellent political army, and even they have a good highway. And through that system, actually, Paul can deliver the gospel without any difficulties. And unfortunately, AD 66, the Roman prosecutor actually his politician was sent by Roman Empire, and he seized the money from the temple treasury. At that time, still there was a Solomon temple located in Jerusalem, and the Roman actually politician actually steal some money from that temple, and the Jewish people actually they revolt against that governor, Roman governor, and rebel actually killed the Roman soldiers in Jerusalem. As soon as the Roman emperor heard of this news, especially the emperor, Roman emperor called Nero. Maybe you heard of his name. Later, actually, he burned the city of Rome in order to establish a new city. Anyway, Nero sent the best general with the 3 legions, big army. Look at the picture. Roman emperor called Nero sent a big army, and they totally destroyed Jerusalem with fire. And exactly AD 70, the Roman army led by Titus, the general Titus, actually conquered Jerusalem and destroyed the second temple, and the temple was burned. So you may see the picture, and then means the city of Jerusalem was burned, and all Israel people were kicked out of Jerusalem. And unfortunately, Jewish people actually lost their nation, and even they cannot stay in the city Jerusalem, and they were kicked out. So they spread throughout the whole other countries. So thousands of Jewish people were killed or sold into slavery. They were exiled and dispersed to diaspora. Diaspora means they spread out. Maybe including you and me, even though we have our one country, but we are living in, just now we are living in United States. So that also called diaspora. Even though we have our original country, but we living in other country. So that means actually diaspora. And Christianity actually was born in Roman civilization, and even Rome road actually they has excellent system of highway, and through that highway actually they send a lot of army and merchants actually going and out, and it looks like in economical system the highway system is some kind of broad circulation. So through that way, Paul traveled around Europe, and he can preach the gospel. So spread during the Pax Romana. That means all road to Rome. All road connected to Rome. So Rome is the center of a Roman Empire, and they has excellent highway system. And at the time, Roman Empire actually they adopted religious policy called polytheism. That means poly means multi, many. So they accepted every religion. So in some specific area there was their area god, area specific religion, and Roman Emperor actually accepted. They are gentle. They are generous to accept all kinds of religion. So they encourage the polytheism, and even they encourage the worship of the emperor. Emperor is not only they considered actually Roman emperor is not human. Actually helps God and help human. So they, if you got the citizenship of Rome, actually you must worship the emperor. But it is contrary to the belief in Christianity. Christianity actually monotheism. Monotheism means there is only one God in Old Testament, only one God. So Christians actually they rejected polytheism, and they believe in their one God. They cannot accept other God. And because of that reason, they could not worship the emperor as God. They rejected it. So, Roman emperor considered Christians as a betrayer. They are threat to the government. So that's why Roman emperor actually start persecuting. They saw so severe persecution by the Roman emperor, including the Nero. And you may see two actually picture in here. First one is describing the Roman emperor as help human and help God. Even it looks like a Roman emperor could fly the sky. And there are some gods living in heaven, and Roman emperor actually located between the God in heaven and also person on the earth. So that's why Roman emperor was considered as God, and Roman citizens actually worshiping their emperor. And live picture is called Pantheon. Pantheon means in every city actually they have their religious temple called Pantheon, and in Pantheon so many gods, they accepted so many gods. So even Christians, the Roman emperor actually forced the Christian worshipping emperor, and also send Christians to the Pantheon and worshipping other god. But as you know, they believing in only one God, so they rejected worshipping Roman emperor. Even they never go to the Pantheon, even though the Roman Empire actually forced them to go. That's why there was so much persecution in the early of Christian history. So look at the first actually picture. He is with 4 white horse. There is one guy. Actually, he is Roman Emperor Nero. And look at there are so many actually cross on the street, and each actually cross one person was hung on there. Actually, they are Christian. So he enjoyed, Emperor Nero actually enjoyed the burning. Maybe he loves fire, and that's why he burned so many Christians on the cross. And even he burned the city of Rome. Maybe some kind of schizophrenia, some kind of he has mental disease maybe. Because of actually his persecution, so many Christians were burned to die. And also many Christians were sent to the Colosseum, and without any weapon, and the hungry lions and the tigers coming out, and they ate them. So many actually Christians become some kinds of a toy or in the Colosseum. So unfortunately, early Christians, they receive a great persecution by the Roman emperor. And little bit later, Roman empire actually was divided by 4 areas. So you may see the 4 different colors. Eastern area, little dark purple, and western area, little bit dark yellow, and you may see 4 clear different actually color. That means even in modern day there are more than actually 10 countries actually belong to this area, but it is extremely hard to control the whole area. That's why in the middle of the Roman Empire, actually they divide 4 areas, and in each area actually they choose establish the new Caesar in each area. So Roman actually empire were divided by 4 areas, and suddenly the guy called Constantine, actually he he actually lived in maybe Hispanic, in modern country called Spain and Portuguese, and upper area called maybe France. In that area, he was actually one of the king. Constantine was one of the king in that area, in Spain and France and England. But he has ambition. I want to conquer the other three area, and I want to be sole emperor throughout the Roman Empire. So he studied war, and he actually invaded other territory in Roman Empire. So you may see there are some war between Constantine against Maxentius, also against Licinius, and finally he won the war and he became sole, only one emperor throughout the Roman Empire. And Constantine, whenever actually we deal with the history of Christianity, he is one of the also important figure, because he actually accepted Christianity. He allowed Christians to have a worship service. So that's why almost 300 years Christians were persecuted. They suffer a lot, but by the conversion of Constantine, actually Christianity become some kind of national religion in Western Europe, and after that almost more than 1500 years Christianity contributed to in the development of Western civilization. So Constantine actually he succeeded his father as a Caesar after fighting for other claimants. So he occupied one area and he wanted to occupy another three areas. So he started war with first. Actually, he started war with Maxentius, but comparing to his army, Maxentius' army is almost 3 or 4 times bigger. If Constantine army is only 50,000 soldiers, but Maxentius he has around 200,000 soldiers. So logically he cannot win over Maxentius. So maybe he worry a lot. And exactly one day before the war, actually he saw the sky and he saw the cross on the sky. Look at the picture. The guy who with the golden clothing, actually he is Constantine, and he looked up to heaven, and he actually saw the cross on heaven. So he considered the sign of a cross is the meaning of his victory, and he promised to Christian God, if you allow me to win, I will worship you. And by miraculously, actually Constantine won over Maxentius, and he kept the promise. So after the war, he made Christianity official religion of the Roman Empire. So exactly the year 313, called the Edict of Milan. Hey, Christian guys, from now you are allowed to worship your God. We no longer actually persecute you. And even on coming Sunday, I will go to the church. And that means if the emperor goes to the church, that means all his actually followers, generals, governors, they must go to the church. So that's why that is turning point of Christianity. Previously, Christians were seriously, severely persecuted, but now Christian was adopted as a national religion. Even emperor go to the church. So that's why the whole Roman Empire, that area actually suddenly all that area become Christian nation. So maybe Emperor Constantine is the person who converts the most people to Jesus Christ. He contributed to that. And look at the map and the spread of Christianity. So finally, actually, he was king of Spain and Gaul in modern world, actually France, but he invaded Italy, he conquered Greece, and he go to the Asia Minor and go to the Egypt, and finally he become one sole actually emperor because of the war. So you may see actually that the map and Christianity was spread out this whole Roman Empire. That's why even previously before Constantine, actually Christianity was one of the minority, very very tiny small religion. But now Christianity become only sole great influential actually religion in Roman Empire. And exactly around 331, Constantine actually at the time he lived in Rome, Longbridge, okay, the capital city of Longbridge, Rome. He lived there, but he wanted to establish his one city, so he moved the capital city from Rome to Constantinople, in modern area called Istanbul. That Constantinople actually in just now belonged to modern country called Turkey. So he moved the capital city from Rome to actually Constantinople. So because of his actually transfer of the capital city, actually Western Europe, actually Eastern Europe was divided after his death. So usually Western Empire actually is based on Roman Catholic Church, and the Eastern Empire is based on Eastern Orthodox. So there would be actually two different religions. And usually Western Europe actually they using Latin, the language of Latin, but Eastern Empire actually they using the Greek. Even they use two different languages, and because of so many culture, language, national difference, finally it looks like totally two different religion. One is a Roman Catholic Church, another one is Eastern Orthodox Church. So the mother of Constantine called Sophia, actually she wanna establish a big church in Constantinople, and based on her name, Hagia Sophia Church. Hagia Sophia is the mother of Constantine. Actually, she established big church in Constantinople, and based on Constantinople, actually Eastern Orthodox Church was born, and even architecture, the building is totally different from, and in Eastern Orthodox, actually the head of church is the emperor, but it considered Peter was the origin of a Roman Catholic Church. Jesus actually gave Peter key to kingdom of heaven according to the Matthew chapter 16. I means Jesus. Jesus give you means Peter, the key of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bound on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosened in heaven. So through actually interpretation, key, actually Jesus Christ gave some key to Peter. So look at the picture. Jesus directly gave the key to Peter. Based on this Bible verse interpretation, Peter actually was considered the successor of Jesus Christ because he received the key from Jesus Christ. So many believe Peter founded the Roman Catholic Church, and actually later, a little bit later, Bishop of the Rome actually become Pope. Actually the head of the Roman Catholic Church. So finally, yeah, a little bit maybe the 5th century, finally the concept of a Roman Catholic Church was born, and comparing to Eastern Orthodox Church, actually they build a little bit different kinds of a style of architecture, and even the head of the church in Eastern Orthodox Church is emperor, but in Roman Catholic Church, Pope. In the present Pope, now called Francis, actually the Pope, he wearing the hat and holding his staff. So now he considered the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, there are so many actually detailed story when I deal with the history of Christianity, but this actually class related to Western civilization. That's why I'm making short in order to explain about Western civilization. And this is the end of class, and see you next week. Thank you.